Hey guys, this market update. We can see the cycle changing, right? Not just in the price, but everything that's happening is like all capitulation, washout signals. So Jack Mallers steps down as CEO of 21. That was a bizarre listing. So because you have a bull market here, you obviously have all the bankers and the brokers and everyone else. They want to make money. So they just list everything they can. They want to make fees, and that's how it goes. And then obviously in the bear market, you realize, you know, this business, 21, was bizarre, right? They didn't even have a business plan when they listed. Just Cantor Fitzgerald wanted to make fees, right? That's the way it goes. Anyway, he stepped down. So that's that. Satsuma Technology has voted to sell all of its remaining Bitcoin and return the capital to shareholders. Fair enough. I mean, the thing with Bitcoin is that if you have capital on your balance sheet, then you can sell it and return that to shareholders. So, you know, not a terrible outcome there, but you can just see the washout of the previous cycle happening, which is good, right? You need that to physically happen. And then individuals just letting go of their Bitcoin and selling it to strategy on all of this. I think they bought 28,000 Bitcoin or something in Q2 this year. But look, you can just see the pattern, right? Individuals, they're just fed up. They're just done with it. They've either made, you know, good money. Maybe they bought the lows, or maybe they bought the high in 2020, and they're just basically getting out of break even 5 or 6 years later, which again is like a bizarre decision, but it is what it is. This is just what happens. Businesses earn more money and they have access to capital markets, and so they're just going to buy more. So Bitcoin now is an institutional corporate asset, and that's what you need for it to go to $1 million a coin. And it's just happening. It's happening very slowly, and everyone's going to get their knickers in a twist about short-term price movements, but it doesn't matter, right? This thing's going higher and higher. We're in a bear market, 65K. The previous one was 15. It's pretty obvious, right? 200-week moving average, which we're at. You can see some buyers in here. Of course, there'll be some buyers here. Oil's at 100. They're going to war again. It's just an awful, like, terrible situation. We're in a bear market. It's really bad. Oh, but Bitcoin is 65K, and you buy it in a bear market. It's underperforming everything right now, like NASDAQ, gold, and everything else, which, of course, if you believe this asset has a growth rate of 20-30%, then this is a great time to buy, which is when no one buys, because that's just the way it goes, right? If you do buy Bitcoin, though, or trade it, you want to take a trade here, Bybit will give you a deposit bonus if you're a new user, so click the link in the description, sign up, make a deposit, they'll give you a bonus to trade with. On-chain data and technicals are screaming that this is a buy zone, and very few people buy here because a lot of people just would rather buy higher. So they feel more certain, right? As the price goes higher, they feel more certain. That's just human nature. But everything's saying this is a massive buy zone. The realized price, medium realized price, short-term holder cost basis starting to even out and flatten out, right? We're at the same price as we were here. So there is definitely support at this zone, 200-week moving average. Everyone knows that. However, what this doesn't show is what's happening in real life, which is war is starting up again, $100 oil again, right? US yields going higher. So the market hates $100 oil. 80s is okay. You can just see when oil gets to 100, the market starts to just pull back a little bit. See, the stock market starts to pull back. So the AI trade, a lot of that is becoming it softer. Google had like blowout earnings, but because of a lot of capex, they got smashed. Their share price got smashed, right? So you're just seeing investors just less willing to bid up those prices, and maybe the money just isn't there. Like, the central bank isn't printing a lot of money right now. So you can shift currency from one balance sheet to another balance sheet in an index, right? From the hyperscalers to the chip makers, the memory makers, but it's the same money just floating around and sloshing around back and forth, right? All markets go higher when the money gets printed, but the central bank isn't doing that now, right? So it's just a merry-go-round. So if the money flows into SpaceX IPO, it comes out Bitcoin because there's no extra cash. So you need a flood of cash. But the war, inflation, investors are like, well, that's not going to happen soon, so we're going to pull back, and that's just the way it is. So people don't really want to invest here, and it makes sense. If you're a business, rates are going higher, cash is a little bit strapped, you're not going to pump into Bitcoin, are you? So it's just the way it works. Obviously, when the fewest people have the money to spend in the Bitcoin, that's when it's the best value. That's just the way it works. Unbelievably, though, the cycle is just carrying on as it always is. Unbelievable. So is the central bank going to bail us out again and start increasing liquidity, or is the Treasury going to try and pump some liquidity in the market through the back door or whatever? Our price has been a lot better than other cycles, but do we have another 15 weeks or so? Potentially. After the midterms, and let's see what happens. But the war is ongoing and markets are going to pull back, and that's fine. Right? Do you need to make money in the next 6 weeks? Well, if you do, don't put it into BTC, right? But down here, you know you're getting good forward returns. The strategy often appears like it isn't working, but that's just a time horizon thing. the big moves come in very short periods of time. For the vast majority of the time, nothing's really happening, especially with Bitcoin. But we know the game, and the trade is 100% certain. Currency will debase. You can't save in it. Buy a selection of great assets that you believe in, that you can hold over time and through uncertainty. Don't try and day trade. That's it. Methodology changes could lower May PCE inflation. Of course, Kevin Walsh comes in, is pulling a few levers and pressing a few buttons, and magically inflation goes lower. Well, obviously not, right? Real prices can't be changed by the Fed's stupid methodology. This is toilet paper up like almost 30% in kind of 5-6 years, right? Now, if your portfolio hasn't outperformed toilet paper, you got a big issue. You're going to have to just sell all your stuff, buy toilet paper, stick it in the loft or something, and you'll do okay. But ironically, this is actually more valuable than the paper that bonds are printed on. And it is a bit of a joke, but it's kind of not. Pound sterling is down 99.7%, US dollar 97%. All the rest have either collapsed or just, pretty much gone to absolute zero and then had to refresh. And that's what you actually do eventually. When you just can't sustain the system anymore, you have to just draw a line under it and start again. And that's the game. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to happen. A 100% hit rate on this stuff. So it just is what it is. And it's going to happen. And of course, Bitcoin is basically insurance for that. It's like, it goes sideways for a few years. That's not really the game. That's not why you own it, right? If you want like some fixed income or something, then go and buy that because you have dollar liabilities. I get it. But the game is insurance because these things happen fast and you can't trade them when they happen, right? But you know that the assets are going to have their purchasing power saved versus all of this stuff. The debt is getting worse. The interest is getting worse in the US anyway. I know it's happening in the UK as well. 750 billion net interest for 25. That's moved up to 827 billion net interest for 26. This is not great, is it? Look, the AI thing has pushed us up, and if you get currency creation pouring in, then we can be in a bull market for a lot longer. God knows what the Fed is going to do, but look, this is a terrible situation where you need more currency, but the market doesn't make more currency, right? The market makes goods and services. So where's the currency going to come from? Well, it has to get printed. So it gets printed into this system, which makes everything worse because it gets printed with interest on it. It just never stops, right? So you can't save in this. You got to save in assets. Bitcoin often appears like it's not working and then it suddenly does. Where often needs a crash or a market correction in order for the policy to change itself. So you're always watching out for that. But again, that's not the game, right? You can't trade for it. You just have to be in the asset that you know is going to do well. And especially here, everything's soft, no one cares about it, that's fine. And when something bad happens, it'll probably crash from wherever it's from. And then guess what? The policy comes out and changes again because this system is our system and we don't want it to collapse. The people in charge aren't going to let it collapse. Like I said, I think the trade is pretty simple and straightforward. Assets are insurance against what we know is going to happen. You're either going to get debased slowly or more quickly during periods. And that's it. These are insurance. So buy them because when a war happens, right? When a crash happens, when COVID happens, it goes down. But the long term is that they have to pay for it. And the only way you pay for debt is more debt or more currency or the Fed just printing it out of thin air. It's the only way, right? So we know what happens. This is insurance against long-term debasement of currency. And it has worked because we're in a bear market trading at 65,000. It's insane, right? If you do trade crypto, if you buy it or trade for assets, you can do that on Bybit now. Link in description for a deposit bonus. I'm James, it's Money ZG. Cheers for watching and I'll see you in the next one.